off on another adventure. And we very often take public transportation when we're traveling with a group. The trolleys and buses in Helsinki take you everywhere. And if you like, you can buy an all-day travel pass or a 2-day or a 3-day pass. And our Hawaii people seem to be enjoying it very much.
You like the city?
Yeah, it's a nice, clean place. A lot of good food to eat, and the water is clean and fresh and cool.
Well, I think it's interesting to ride all this kind of buses.
We're heading outside of town to an open-air folk museum called Seurasaari. It just takes about 45 minutes to get there by bus, and you'll find it's well worth your time because in one outdoor park you get to see authentic buildings that have been collected from all over Finland. It's a collection that was assembled during this century from the different regions of the country in order to display folk architecture and show how Finnish people lived in the last several centuries. It was a slightly drizzly day, but pleasant enough. It kept the crowds down. We had the park pretty much to ourselves, and as we walked from house to exhibit to farm to barn, we found there was local guides in costumes to tell us about the sites that we were looking at, which is very helpful so we can understand what it is that we're seeing through these trained eyes. So come along with us on a little walk through Seurasaari Open Air Museum, and we'll learn something about Finnish history.
So this open-air museum, the Seurasaari, was founded in 1909 by one professor, Finnish professor of ethnography. He was very interested in folk traditions and he wanted to collect houses from different parts of Finland to show the folk architecture and also the way people have lived in the past. And at the time, this whole island was a recreation area, and then city of Helsinki rented a small portion of it to the museum, and now the museum covers about 1/3 of the 40-hectare island, and there are almost 100 buildings. I mean, if you include even the smallest storehouses. So most of the houses are from the 18th and 19th centuries, but of course the traditions which are preserved in the buildings, they are much older. So all the houses you see here, they are original, but they are just taken from different regions and of course rebuilt again.
And, is it open all year round?
Oh no, only from mid-May until mid-September, because there is no heating. It would be really cold to work here. But in the winter the people, they come skiing here.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And how long have you worked here?
Well, I've worked here, I study anthropology, so I think this is my 4th or 5th summer here. Yeah.
You study anthropology here?
I study anthropology.
At the University?
Of Helsinki, yes.
And what are you studying in anthropology?
Well, I will specialize in India, so it doesn't help me here, but the work helps me to get money for the airplane ticket, so, and it's very nice to work here. So.
Is there any research being done here at the park as well?
Well, sometimes, like with the old buildings. I think last summer they did something, but not this summer.
Are they going to add more buildings to the park in the future?
Yeah, there was the plan of the founder was to have. He wanted to have a building from every region, and still there are areas that there are no houses from. So maybe in the next century, the plan is going to be completed.
That's great. And is this a typical turnout today, or is it usually more crowded?
It's more crowded. The weather is so lousy.
Yeah. This house?
Like this house, it's a parsonage, home of the priest, and it's from the eastern part of Finland. And it was built about 200 years ago.
Uh-huh. And who else would live in here? Just the priest?
Only priests. The priest and his family. I mean, of course, there were like many priests because this is such an old house, but...
Uh-huh.
It was traditional in the beginning that the people, they had to build house for the priest, the village men, and they didn't get any money. So the priest was really important person in the countryside.
Sure.
Some 100 years ago in Finland.
And it was Lutheran?
Lutheran, oh yes. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice trip.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.
Well, this has been built at the end of 18th century. That room on the left side, that belonged to the family. And also the room which is right opposite the door, so that was a master bedroom.
Most of these buildings have the original furnishings that were used by their last occupants.
Part of the buildings are from 19th century and part of them from 18th. So the idea of this farm was that the owner didn't own the land, but he could rent it. And the owner of the land was from a bigger house or a manor. And behind you is a stable.
Would this have been the way it would be arranged normally? They'd have the houses like this in this setting?
That's true. They are put same way they were in Konginkangas, where it used to be.
So would it be one family, all related?
Yeah, one family, but maybe 2 or 3 generations together.
I see.
This was built after the middle of 18th century, about 1760. We don't know the exact year, but this is over 200 years old, and this is Rococo style. And this was a noble family's house. They had about 500 acres land and an own dairy, and they were mostly officials in the government. And here is the main building. It's got 12 rooms and a kitchen. And upstairs we have more rooms, bedrooms, and also a billiard room. Oh. Yes, they had billiard tables also in 19th century. Ladies' room, master's study, nursery, and a pantry.
The park also supplies a very helpful booklet and map that you can use to guide yourself around the grounds. Here's a row of barns from the 19th century. And of course, you're welcome to walk inside nearly all of the buildings here. This is a farmstead from the 19th century. And despite the slight drizzle on and off today, we've enjoyed our visit immensely. By the way, the weather here in Finland is similar to the American Northwest. Kind of cloudy, partly rainy, but in 2 weeks in Scandinavia, this was the only day where we had any rain at all. So we really had fine weather in the month of July.